ladies, it's Donna from Donna's Sewing Circle. How are you doing today? Come on in. We've made room for you around the circle. Today's lesson is another quilt to coat. If you saw a few days ago, I posted this coat. I did some alterations on it since you saw that video. I fixed the binding here on the sides. I've added pockets. And now I've been commissioned to make another jacket just like this one. So you get to watch me today create that. And this is the quilt she gave me. Isn't that gorgeous? I've never seen this pattern before. If one of you recognize the pattern, please let me know. It is absolutely stunning. And she wants to turn, her grandmother made it, and she wants me to turn it into a quilt coat. So let's get started. First of all, we fold it in half. So this is the fold. I've got this fold, and I've got this fold, so I've got folded twice. And I used a sweatshirt as a pattern. I want this to be on a seam, so I'm trying to fix it so the seam is where we'll be cutting. Put it up on the horizontal line of my cutting mat. This is my sweatshirt. She wanted it the same size as the one I made. I finally found it. I used the white. When you draw around it, give yourself a seam allowance. You don't want to follow the edge of the oh, we want it long, so we're going to make it like that. Okay, so I've drawn it out. The next step is to cut it out. I don't know if my scissors will cut through all this, but we're going to try. Okay. We have it cut out. We have two pieces. We have the front and the back. We'll lay one aside. We'll call this the back. We'll lay it aside. Now we gotta cut it down the middle. Isn't that beautiful? I absolutely love it. Okay. Now Now we lay the front and back aside, and we put the back, open it up. We'll work on one side at a time. So we lay it down like this. Lay the half of it over it. Make sure the arms are measured right. Then you want to pin it. If you need these clips, I have them in my Amazon store. Let me know if this is the first coat quilt you've made, and if you followed along with my instructions. This is the simplest coat quilt, and it comes out so pretty. What's cool is these sleeves came out right to the edge of the quilt. So it's the arms will already be bound. Now we're going to do the top. Do y'all like me being over here? This is the other half of my studio. If you watch the other day, I did a little decluttering of my studio because I love my sewing room, but the space I have for working is just too small. So I had to clean this off and make room. The lighting isn't too good right now, but that will get better. I've got lighting coming, so. Okay, once you get it pinned, you'll sew from the end all the way up around the sleeve, and then you'll come to the back and do all the way along the back. So let's go do that. Okay. So we'll start on one seam. If you do not have your presser foot, or rather a serger, you can use the zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. Take your time. Beautiful. Now, the side. Looks beautiful. Now let's go do the other side. Okay, so now that we're back at the table, we've got half of it sewn on. Now we'll lay it out and attach the other half. Now we pin it. And remember, you want those seams to align, especially if you're going to be serging it, because you don't want to have to redo it. Because every time you re-sew it, you're cutting off a little bit more of the quilt fabric, and you don't want to do that. You want to get it right the first time. You want to make sure the edges where the wrist will be is even also. You don't want to uneven seam at your wrist. So when you get to this point, you want to make a little diamond here. I'm going to mark. Let's see. Do I have tape? Yeah. I'm going to mark on this ruler so I can make the exact same mark on the other side. if that works. This is erasable. This is a friction pen. It is erasable. I'm going to eyeball this before I cut it. Make sure it looks even. See what I did? I made a mark on here. Yeah, that looks right. Now I'm going to cut, not both layers. Don't cut the bottom. This is just the top layer. Okay. And I'll lay this on here. Make sure they're the same. Yep. And then cut that out. That way they match. There we go. Okay. Now we go back and we'll sew here, the underarm and along the side. Then they'll be together. So let's go sew that. Remember to double check that your seams are lined up. You don't want one wrist longer than the other. Beautiful. Let's turn it inside out and see how it looks. Here we go. Isn't it gorgeous? Now we're going to do the lining or the binding and add pockets, and we should be finished. Let's get started. I'm going to try and use this design here for the pocket. All right, even it up along here. How big this pocket is. Exactly 8 inches, which is what we want. I'm going to do it a little bit beyond the 8 inches so I can fold it under. All right, now we got 2 pockets. Then we'll pin it in place. Just take your time. There's no hurry. Okay, we've got the pockets put on. 2 pockets. Now we're going to sew them. So let's go back to the sewing room and sew these pockets on. Now we're just going to use a straight stitch. It's not even going to be a 1/4 inch. It's going to be right along the edge of the pocket. When I do the top of the pocket where your hand goes in, I go forwards and backwards like two times because that's the weakest part of your whole project. So you take your time. I'm double checking everything as I go. So I do not want to have to undo this and do it again. Make sure you're not sewing through both layers of your coat. I'm leaving my foot down or my needle down. I lifted my foot so I could turn the fabric. There's a lot of bulk here that I'm folding under, so I'm going to take some of that bulk off. Be easier to sew when I get there. Good on that side. Good on this side. Nice deep pocket. Put her phone in there, not worry about it. A wallet in there, not worry about it. Back looks good. You can't even see the stitches. Gosh. The front looks awesome. Let's try it on. All right, ladies, here it is. See my pockets? Here's the pockets. Are they gorgeous? Now we got to do is the binding and the coat will be done. Ready for the customer. If you'd like to see more tutorials that follow along, subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of tutorials. Like gorgeous. Okay, I heard from the customer and she is happy with the turquoise. So we will go ahead and clip the binding on there. I don't deal with binding very much, but if you take your time with it, it's not too bad. But I open it, I push the quilt edge to the center, and then fold it over and pin it. I like the clips on this a lot better than pins. Okay. Now I'm using teal. So we need teal thread and bobbin. So I need to get a bobbin going. Okay, I've got it all set up. Just take your time. Sew at your speed. Make sure the top of the binding is at the top of your fabric and that your needle is very close to the end, very close to the edge. Try and sew a straight line. I know for beginners that's hard, but it's a good time to practice. I appear to be catching the bottom side. As long as the quilt is along the top, as long as the binding is at the top of the quilt, you should catch both sides. Okay, we finished half of it. Front's gorgeous. See how I have the binding? See how the fold is right there? That's tucked into the top of the fabric. So right along the edge, as close as you can to the edge. And double check it as you're going to make sure it's tucked in there. Now all we gotta do is check the back. Sew a little bit right along the edge so it's not a raw edge. There it is, finished coat. Isn't it gorgeous?